So I have a theory. Hi. I don't actually know how to start one of these videos, so I'm just gonna get into the meat of it. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I listen to a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons podcasts, such as The Adventure Zone, Rude Tales of Magic, Dimension 20, and the topic of this video, Just Roll With It. I have recently caught up with the entire backlog of Just Roll With It, including the unlisted stuff, like Faded and Convergence. In the current production pause of Riptide, I decided to re-listen to the entire series while at work. Originally, I started this little project, or JRWI logs on my Twitter, to see how long it would take me to get back up to date. And then I started to take notes, and then I started to notice things. Fair warning, this will go into detail from the beginning all the way to the latest episode, 115 of Riptide. So if you do not want spoilers, get up to date. You have like 5 months. That being said, my theories. Theory 1. What's the deal with deals? Let's go over what we know so far. Gillian's deal is that the curse over Mornstead, or Tidestead as of episode 56, would be dispelled in exchange for a favor in due time. Chip's deal was to find Arlen and make sure he doesn't die despite the consequences, go back to where the hole in the sea happened with the other 2 members of the Black Rose Pirates, Finn and Dre, and not get in the way of Gillian's deal. In exchange for information about Arlen, like his well-being and his location, and so that Ollie could be a regular-sized child instead of a very, very tall 12-year-old. I'm not going to involve Jay's dark bargain in this because I'm not up to that on my re-listen. I will make an addendum when I do, but for right now, let's focus on Chip and Gillian's deals. I have a good feeling about this. I think that Gillian's deal, Gillian's favor, is going to be killing Arlen. I have no other evidence for this other than the syntax. I think Chip was given a contradictory deal on purpose. Niklaus is a storyteller, and every good story has internal and external conflict. Chip and Gillian can have a final ultimate showdown, or something. Some sort of ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny, if you will.
Then Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf...
Theory number 2. The Baron is actually the previous version of Kuba Kenta. Okay, this is less of a theory and more of just a feeling I have. They're both demonic cats, and have control over what form they take. We see in the Baron's various descriptions, and Kuba Kenta being in that Navy stronghold in the Black Sea. We see him as a black cat when originally he was a big burly tiger man with backwards claws. They both have ties with the Navy. And the last thing the Baron told the Alba Trio is, "You haven't seen the last of me." I don't know, man. I just think it's funny, honestly. It's less of a theory, more of just a gut feeling. Just like, The following theory is pretty long and flows into the 4th one, so just bear with me. Theory number 3. All things Black Sea. I think Dugan is the new Leviathan after the one we see dead in the Black Sea Navy stronghold. Let me explain. But first, we need some context. In episode 42, The Serpent, main characters Chip, Jay, and Gillian encounter a titan of the undersea, a Leviathan, something like unto a god. Later on, Gillian speaks to it in Primordial and learns his name is Dugan. The most important part of this is that Grizzly describes Dugan as younger looking. This struck a chord in me. Also in this episode, Gillian and Caspian, could never forget my boy Cass, states that the death of one of these creatures could cause a major shift in the ocean, better yet the whole world. In episode 61, Super Savvy Sleuthing Slugs, we learn about the Solstice Stronghold, the place where they are now conducting experiments for the artificial Leviathan. We also find out a certain chosen one is being transferred, but more on that later. Finally, in episode 114, Still Not Farin' Well, they enter what should be an empty Navy stronghold. Been abandoned for the past decade, but for sake of spoilers, even though I'm talking about it, has a horror beyond belief of the Navy's capabilities. In one of these rooms, they find the bones of a Leviathan presumably killed by the Navy or something worse. We also know that Niklas's powers, his magnificent illusory works, causes this black sludge to appear. We see it in every single time they face someone or something that has made a deal with Niklas, and it's gone south one way or another, eventually leading to death. Do you see where I'm going with this? It starts with Niklas's deal with Captain Rose. He was to go to a specific area of the Eastern Sea. Then, this ship was attacked by what was described as a kraken. I think this kraken is the Leviathan we see dead in that Navy stronghold. Or is it? No. Of course! There's more to it than that. After some more research, more details came apparent, such as the creature spoke directly to Finn in Abyssal. And as we know, the Leviathans speak primordial, being such old beings. It also said desire. It straight up said desire. So I think it's Niklas' doing.
Hi, Editor Cheese here. I forgot to add, the main point on why I brought up everything. So, my idea is that Niklas, being the master illusionary wizard, as he is, recreated the area in which the entire one-shot took place in. And the real Leviathan is outside, fighting the Navy. That's why the Kraken, Finn doesn't recognize it, even though he is a reef searcher. He would definitely know what Leviathans would look like. 2, it talked in Abyssal, and deadass said desire. That should have been, key number 1. So I think Niklas told them to be in a very specific spot because that's where his illusion is, because he is very, very adept in illusionary magic, while the Navy fights the real Leviathan on the outside. Completely forgot to say that. I also think that Niklas told the Navy to be there, the exact same spot, to capture or to kill the Leviathan. We don't see the hole actually being formed. We watch the Black Rose pirates, Arlen, Finn, and Dre, get dragged under, and then they wake up somewhere else. It ain't like the alien invasion ride at Splish Splash. Is that too niche? Also, little aside, Dre is described as 27. Add 10 years. Right now, he is 37. Look, I get the block did some shit, but come on. Man, I can't believe he's gonna, soon. I can't say that with a straight face. So now the late Navy has a Leviathan carcass. The dead body of a god. I think the Navy started research on the artificial Leviathan in the Black Sea, but something happened, and they moved it to the Solstice Stronghold, which, with the map we obtain in episode 113, is in the North Sea. We know this because the Eastern Stronghold isn't abandoned at all, hence the horrors I spoke about prior. Again, sake for spoilers, I'm only going to talk about what matters to the theory, but I implore you to get up to date and not be like my friend Zach, who started listening at episode 70. Then, just to finish my initial thought, since Dugon is described as younger looking, I think Dugon, whether born or created, was the replacement of that Leviathan. 10 years isn't that long for immense growth, but definitely is enough time for nature to correct itself, if that makes sense. Above all else, this also means the Navy made a deal with Niklas. I'm going to take a wild guess at what they could have bargained for. Maybe the location for the Leviathan, for... I can't think of anything funny. Faye Farron's ability to be deemed a gilf. Fuck it. I hope when we see her, she's butt ugly. Fuck that bitch. You may ask, why would Niklas, a pirate lord, make a deal with the Navy, out of all people? Well, I'll say it again. He is a storyteller. What's more compelling of a plot than two rivals teaming up to fight the big bad, or, in this case, be the big bad? Now back to that stronghold, known as the Promised Bastion according to the world map. We meet the most wonderful character, full of whimsy, and some memories, and no missing skin at all. It's Gillian Tidestrider. I don't think I could put this any more intelligently, so I'm just going to copy exactly what I have from my phone. Doppelgilly has been there the whole time. The second chosen one is Doppelgilly, the Navy's first successful attempt at cloning or making artificial life before they go guns blazing making an artificial Leviathan. The Navy is in negotiations with the undersea. What if what if it was for information on Gillian and his training since he's been banished? Hence the line, they didn't make me with all his memories. I'm going to scream. Yeah, that perfectly describes everything. The Black Sea has been reduced to a grotesque grocer for the Navy to play Dr. Frankenstein with. Speaking of Doppelgilly, here we are at number 4. Who is the mole? As of episode 114, we find out that there is a mole on Lizzie's ship. And this has caused such debate on who the mole is. Is it Marshall John? Is it Caspian? Is it Lizzie herself? I think I have the answer. And it all goes back to episode 63, Farewells, when our Riptide pirates and Granbury pirates leave Allport. Their boats line up with John and Gillian, predator handshaking before properly parting ways. John quotes something very specific from Gil that he doesn't remember saying, but it definitely sounds like something he would say. So they pass it off as just that. What if it's not? It was noted at a certain moment in the beginning of the Allport arc, this Allport arc, that Marshall John and Old Man Earl were wandering the city alone. We saw what happened with Old Man Earl. He was mugged and poisoned by an assassin sent by Chip's personal antagonist, Captain Reuben Price. But what happened with John? Here's what I think. We know John was part of a special unit in the Navy. It could have been the cloning project, unfinished at the time of him defecting, but they still had a shit ton of data about him. I think Marshall John was lured by Doppelgilly in Allport, brought into the raft headquarters there, and swapped with the clone of himself. And the mole is the clone. It had to happen after the block, but before they left Allport. Plus, to further this point, in the communications room, you know the one, the Navy officers in the room mention, did one of the monsters get out? Signifying that they are at that headquarters. They are on location. Doppelgilly has been there the whole time. Someone gets Sam Reich in here. Someone's stealing his brand. Do any of these theories have base? No. Not at all. But they are attempts at an explanation. And in this epipause... Oh, fuck. Fuck, that was a Homestuck. Nope. Goodbye. I need to sit down. Listen to just roll with it.